Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics in the whole world, which is health, wellness, feeling good, how to really optimize your life and optimize your health so that you can really get the most out of life. So we're going to be talking about 7 healthy self-care habits for the new year. Even if you're watching this and it's the middle of the year or whatever time it is, of course you can always implement these whenever, but I do think that in the beginning of the new year there's just this beautiful energy and it just feels so refreshing, and it's a great time to reflect, see what you want to bring into your life, what you want to leave behind, what's not serving you, so that you can open up space for new things that are going to be actually very helpful to you. So the first healthy self-care habit is one that I don't really hear a lot of people talking about, and that's why I want to make this the first point. But for me, it's such a foundational thing, and I think it's really the driving force behind almost every positive thing that you're going to do for yourself in life, and it's just such an important thing for life in general, and that is having good self-talk and actually analyzing what is going on in your mind, that inner chatter, that inner dialogue. I think for the majority of people, this is just what goes on automatically. It's something that we don't really think about unless we stop and we get really mindful and really self-aware, and we're actually observing that chatter that is going on in our mind, because that is such a driving force for the decisions that we make, which can either lead you in a really positive direction, but for the most time, it actually leads us in a negative direction, and it kind of keeps us going in that negative route. I think this definitely stems from that really deep old survival part of our brain where we didn't live in comfort and safety and had all of our necessities met. This part of the brain was developed for survival. So when we were living in the jungle or in a cave, the first thought when we woke up in the morning was survival. Do I have all my family around? Is everyone okay? Our brain automatically goes into thinking about all the dangerous things that might happen, and that served us at one point of our history and of our human development, but it doesn't serve us today. And I mentioned the morning thing specifically because that's something that is very automatic for me. It's very easy for me to, automatically run through the 1,000 things I have to do that day, perhaps thinking about how stressful it might be or what could go wrong, but I always start my mornings by talking to myself and talking to myself intentionally. So I do this before I even get out of bed, and it's been really helpful. I started doing this earlier in 2021. I think it was in the springtime or so, where I was I really need to put focus and energy and intention in this part of my morning, because I noticed the thoughts that were running through my head, they were just not helping me. It was making me more stressed, and it's not to ignore obviously the things that I have to do that day, but it's just about reframing it. So telling myself things I have done difficult things before and I succeeded at it, I was able to do it. Or I tell myself things if you do get stressed or if you do feel overwhelmed during the day, just stop, take a breath, recenter yourself, and then move forward. It's really about having that positive inner dialogue with myself, and that continues throughout the entire day. But I think it's really important to do that first thing in the morning so that you're not raising your cortisol. You already feel stressed before you even get out of bed. That is not an ideal way to wake up. Joe Dispenza talks a lot about this in his book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And he talks all about how we just automatically repeat the same story to ourselves over and over again, and we stay stuck being our old selves instead of introducing a new story, a new version, and actually evolving as humans and as people. Another great book on this topic is The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. I would also highly recommend that one. That's also about the inner chatter, the inner dialogue, and how monkey brain our minds can be. I did also work with a coach earlier in the year. I think it was in June of 2021, and she taught me something that was so powerful that I still do till this day. We were basically talking about how we can be so hard on ourselves, and we can think about all the critical and negative little things, and just having that not so positive dialogue with ourselves. And she basically had me write down the one thought thought that I was kind of repeating to myself that was negative or that just made me feel like really low. And she made me come up with a list of evidence to prove that that thought was actually not right. Because a lot of the times, the things that we're thinking and telling ourselves is not even true, which is just crazy. Or we over-exaggerate things in our head and we can turn them into things that they're absolutely not. And sometimes it's just really important to actually stop and like hear what are these negative things that I'm telling myself, and not just pushing them away, but actually looking at that thought and then seeing like, is this even true? And fair enough, maybe some of those things that you're telling yourself, maybe they have a little truth to them. So say you're not being like overly critical or anything, but there is something that you just genuinely want to change about your life. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's actually a great thing if there is something that's kind of like gnawing at you and like constantly knocking on your head. It's also important to not push those things away, because that could lead to a really great, evolution and transformation in your life. But instead of making it like a constant negative thing that's just this like critical voice bashing at you, instead come up with a list of maybe 2 or 3 things that you could do to actually put you on a positive path and to not have that problem or issue anymore in your life. And I always recommend to write these things down and not just have them in your head, because it just makes them so much more real and so much more easy to actually implement into your life when you can see it on paper or on your computer or in your phone, and you can give your brain like clear instructions on what to do when you are feeling that way, or what to tell yourself if you are going down a path of really negative thinking and you know that it's something that's absolutely not true. Just pull up that list of evidence to show yourself like, no, this is actually not true. Like, I shouldn't be thinking this because of this, and this. And with all of this as well, I think it's so important to just feed your subconscious mind with positive and helpful and uplifting things that are going to help you in life. And it's not about like forcing it down your throat and just like pushing it. That just seems very overwhelming. But there are things that we naturally do during our day, forms of entertainment, who we spend time with, movies that we're watching, books that we're reading, things like that. Like, let those kind of natural things that you're already doing in your day, try to have a few of those things be positive and uplifting, so that you're just naturally getting that into your brain. Even if they're not like necessarily super positive, at least make them neutral, so that you're not inviting random thoughts. For example, we sometimes watch movies or shows, or I hear about things that are like, I would never have thought that this could even be possible. Like, sometimes it's like gory or dramatic or super violent. Like, obviously we don't love to watch those kinds of things, but sometimes it just happens when you don't know what a movie is going to be about exactly. And it just gives my brain ideas and opens pathways in my brain of things that I'm like, I don't know if this is going to be helpful in my life. And then it kind of like lingers, until the next day I go and I think about that. Or if people are being deceitful or lying or just manipulative, and just that kind of like dramatic energy. So I try not to consume those kinds of things, because it's not just in the moment that I feel those things, but it's much more about the next day, and it's just staying in my subconscious, in my dreams, and it just comes up, So I just prefer to use that kind of like sensitivity to rather positive things. My second healthy self-care habit for the new year is to wake up earlier. I think this is something that most of us love to do, but it is challenging. Even for me, like, I need my sleep. It's so important. Sleep is something that is definitely very high up on my priority list for 2022 as well. This is something that I really changed last year, and it's just as important as moving our bodies, eating really good food. Like, it's one of those core pillars in our health and our wellness and how we feel, and can often be overlooked. So to make sure that you're still getting enough sleep and you're still able to wake up earlier is to go to bed earlier. So it's not really thinking about I want to wake up earlier, but rather making the goal to go to bed earlier. So this way you can still get in your average 8 hours of sleep, feel really rested and complete and just refreshed when you wake up. And that just makes me so happy. Just like thinking about that feeling is amazing. I love good sleep, but I do also like to wake up early. So I actually don't use an alarm clock when I wake up these days unless I have like a really early appointment or we have a flight that's early. But generally I will wake up at around 6:30 to 7 and I will go to bed. Like I'll try to be in bed by 9:30 and then I'll usually be asleep by 10 and then I'll just sleep all the way through until the morning. Something that's really helpful is to put away your screens or devices like phones, iPads, TV. Try not to stimulate your brain and your eyes with too much light, especially blue light from screens, because that can actually delay your melatonin release. And the melatonin is what makes you feel really sleepy and will eventually put you to sleep. So I love to read a book. I also love to have a shower or a bath in the evenings. That of course comes before reading the book, but just having like a really nice wind down routine. I love that so much. You could also maybe do some bedtime yoga, like actually in your bed and just stretching a little bit, whatever feels good to you and whatever makes you feel relaxed. But really, like instead of saying I want to wake up super early, just focus on going to bed early and see what time your body naturally wakes up. My next healthy self-care habit for the new year is to include some greens with every meal. This is something that I've talked about lots before on my channel, but it's really something that I swear by and has brought me so much success in my own personal health and wellness. And of course, it doesn't have to be with every single meal, but just in general, like when you're building your plate or when you're thinking about what you want to have for dinner or when you're ordering out at a restaurant, just kind of think about always having some kind of green with your meal. If you are going to get fries, for example, which I love, do also make sure that you get maybe like some steamed spinach or broccoli or a side salad along with your meal. And you know, if you're at home, you could easily add spinach to like any soup or stew or bolognese or any kind of like curry. It's so easy to just add in spinach. Or if you're having toast or wrap, just adding some sliced cucumbers to that. This is so important to increase the amount of antioxidants and vitamins and phytonutrients in your diet. Antioxidants are so important, especially for our skin, to age gracefully and to decrease the amount of free radicals that are running through our body that can again have an effect on our skin. By increasing greens, you are automatically increasing the amount of fiber that is going into your diet as well, which is so important. Fiber keeps us fuller for longer. It also helps to regulate our blood sugar levels. Having enough fiber in our diet actually prevents us from craving lots of sweets and processed foods because again, it is balancing out our blood sugar. And again, greens are just great overall for our energy as well, again, for our skin, for our hair health. And I think once you start getting the hang of this, it's a pretty simple thing that will just turn into a habit that you will just find automatic. For me, that's what it's become. Of course, I don't have it with every single meal and that's okay. But just generally speaking, when I am putting together a plate, I do look for like the green and I try to be mindful to have them part of my meal and of my general diet. The next healthy self-care habit that I want to talk about is to focus on your gut health and to really think about it as being just as important as working out, moving your body, getting enough sleep and getting sunshine and having really healthy food. Our gut health is so closely linked to the overall health of our entire bodies, including our immune system, our skin health, of course, our digestion, but even our brain health, heart health. And I think it's just about making like small little mindful adjustments to our general lifestyle. So things like chewing your food properly, not chewing too fast and swallowing too fast, but really making sure that you're grinding down the food, that it's getting mixed with the saliva, and that you're really chewing your food before you eat it. That is so helpful for your gut health. And with that as well, just being mindful and present when you are eating and not being distracted with too much TV or too many stressful conversations, and just generally having a more peaceful and calm setting and environment when you are having your food. That is also incredibly important and helpful for your gut health because you're lowering and managing your cortisol when you're eating, which is really important for digestion and also for the assimilation of the food. Also little things like trying to drink room temperature water instead of really cold water. That's another really great and easy, simple thing you could do for your gut health, and things like exercising and moving your body, gently moving and stimulating your digestive tract, which is so helpful for your gut health. Just getting in that movement so that you can help move things along in your body. Also, one of the main things that I've personally come across from listening to different specialists and doctors on gut health is the importance of eating a variety of different foods. And I'm totally in that category of being a creature of habit, and I could literally eat the same thing for weeks, but I do make it a point to try new recipes and try different vegetables and different spices and ways of preparing meals so that I am introducing a variety of foods, because that variety is going to increase the variety of gut bacteria in your colon. And those good bacteria, they actually produce really healthy byproducts for our body, one of them being serotonin. So most of our serotonin is actually produced in our gut by our gut bacteria based on the food that those gut bacteria are eating, which I think is just mind-blowing. But that's a huge reason why it's so important to take care of those gut bacteria in our colon. Another way I like to support my gut health is to take a really high quality probiotic. My favorite one is by Seed. This is their daily symbiotic. You guys probably know I love this one. And the reason I love it so much is because it's actually very effective and you can see results in a really short time. And the reason for this is that the bacteria are actually guaranteed to make it all the way down to your colon. So that's a huge problem with most probiotics, is that they actually get burned up by our stomach acids, bile salts, the enzymes. Those are all great and they're designed to break down our food, but they can also kill the bacteria. So what Seed have done is put their bacteria in a 2-in-1 ViaCap technology. So it has this protective outer shell which allows the inside bacteria to make it all the way down to your colon. It is so genius, and I really trust this brand over all the others because of all the scientific research that has gone into creating this. It contains 24 clinically studied probiotic strains, and it also has a prebiotic in it as well, which is actually the food that the good bacteria eat in your gut. It's not just great for your gut health and for digestion and for improving bloating, but it also has so many other systematic benefits, including for glowing skin, clearer skin. It's great for your brain health, your heart health, again for your mood. I've been taking this for almost a year now, and it's something I would highly recommend. I love this in my wellness routine, and I cannot recommend it enough. If you guys have not tried this yet, they're currently offering all my viewers 15% off your first order. Just click the link down below in the description box and use code AnnieJ15 at checkout, and again that will get you 15% off. The next healthy self-care habit that I want to talk about is daily movement. This is something that has literally been life-changing for me. I go through different phases where I'm more into doing like home workouts and things at home, but in the summertime, especially this past year, like spring, summer, I was really into doing walks outside. We have a really beautiful park where we live, and I just loved going there almost every day. Of course, if it was like really bad weather or I wasn't feeling it, I wouldn't go, but just being out in nature, it's just so transformative to your body, your mind. Just connecting with nature is so beautiful, and you really feel such a shift when you're out there, and when you come back, it's just amazing. But also right now, when it's winter time, I will sometimes do walks in the afternoon, but I really like to do a little bit of daily movement in the mornings. So after I've had my warm water with lemon, I go to the bathroom, I change my clothes, and I just know, like, it's just ingrained in my brain that I do some kind of movement, whether that is for 10 minutes or 20 minutes or 30 minutes. If I am doing a longer workout, it will usually not go over 30 minutes. That's usually like the sweet spot for me. And it's something I genuinely look forward to, and it makes me feel so good. Of course, it's great for your body, just for your physical body, for your digestion, for your muscles, to have strong bones, but so much for your mental and emotional health too. That is what really drives me and what really motivates me, and what gets me really excited is just that feeling of, even if I'm doing like a really gentle yoga and it's just a bit of stretching, it just feels so good. I did a yoga class this morning, for example, and I felt amazing. And yesterday I did a strength training class. It's so good for just shaking off any excess stress, for releasing good endorphins, for feeling strong in your body, again, both physically but also very much emotionally and mentally. So I just think there are so many incredible benefits to doing a little bit of daily movement, whatever that looks like for you. But I do think it's something that is like life-changing. And if you're not doing that already, just give it a try and see how you feel. My next healthy self-care habit is actually one that involves other people. So it's not just about yourself, but focusing on developing new friendships or deepening your current friendships, getting more social. This is something that I'm always working on. And I think it's something when you find the right people, it just feels so nice to connect with like-minded people. And it's actually something that is one of those factors and what makes people live really long and have really fulfilling and happy lives is that social connection and that communication with other people. I think it's so easy in today's world to be very disconnected and to just see people on screens and through phones, but even just planning like a weekly date with one of your friends and you just know that that's something that you do every week, you know, finding a time that works great for both you and your friend. Either that could be a lunch, a dinner, a walk in the park, going grocery shopping together, whatever it is, getting your nails done. That's something you can really look forward to during the week as well, and to treat it like a self-care habit or ritual that you are doing for your health as well. And even with our family as well, you know, making sure that we're taking time to see our families, connect with them. I think that is so important for our health and just feeling whole and fulfilled in our lives, is that human connection. And I think that's something that is also not talked so much about in the self-care and wellness space. And the last healthy self-care habit that I want to talk about, I think this is so important as well, and something that has made a huge difference in my own life, and that is to get organized and to have a sense of discipline in your life. I know usually when we think of discipline, it's more of like a negative connotation, but when you have a kind of structure in your life and you have certain routines that you can kind of rely on and depend on, it actually gives you a lot of freedom and joy, because you know that you are essentially taking care of yourself, doing the things that you know is good for you. And that's really empowering, and that builds a lot of confidence in your life. So for example, little things when I talk about getting organized. So for example, putting things away after you are done using them around your home. I think it's really important to have like a designated spot for everything that you own. So for example, you know, your clothes, of course, they go in your wardrobe, all your cooking utensils and food things in the kitchen. Maybe you store all your candles in a specific drawer. But something that I like to do in the apartment is whenever I use something, I try to put it back right away. Or if I do notice that like a sweater is laying in the kitchen, when I'm leaving the kitchen, I will take that sweater and put it away in the closet, because that way you are minimizing that amount of mess that is slowly building up during the day, during the week. So just making it a habit to put things away right away and to not wait. The same thing goes for dishes. You know, when you're done eating, just put things directly away into the dishwasher so that things don't build up in the sink. And again, it's just a nicer environment to live in when things are cleaned. And when you just take that extra minute or moment to put something away, it really does go a very long way. Other things like writing things down that are just swirling around in your head, whether that is your grocery list, things you have to do, any work things, any errands that you have. I always have a list on my phone of my to-dos, and I have a grocery list in my phone as well that I always update. So as soon as I think about something that I need to do, buy, get, whatever, I write it down so that it's not swirling around in my head and just making me stressed and like thinking about the same thought like over and over again. Rather just writing it down, it's out of my head, and it makes me feel a lot more organized and calm. With that as well, having certain routines that you know you can just rely on and that kind of like have your back, whether you really feel like doing them or not. So for example, my evening routine, having a shower, winding down, reading a couple of pages in the book that I'm reading. I know just getting in the shower, using a calming body wash, just washing the day off physically and mentally, it really does make me sleep a lot better. Same thing goes for moving my body, going for a walk, like making sure I'm staying hydrated, things like that. Just little routines that you can really rely on, and having that like gentle discipline and gentle structure around that, it really does bring so much freedom and joy to your life, and it is so empowering, because then when you're doing those things, you're like, yes, okay, I did that because it makes me feel so good, and you're like, pat on the back, I feel great. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you guys are already doing any of these habits, or if there are any that really called out to you that you would love to start implementing in your life. Definitely share with me down below in the comments. Also, in my last video, I go into detail on how I like to actually structure my goals and different techniques that work really well for me in being able to achieve my goals long term, and not just being really excited about them, you know, the first few weeks of the year, but actually how to really implement them into your day, into your routines. So if you're interested in that video, I will have it linked down below. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you're all having a beautiful day, and I will see you in my next one. Mwah. Bye guys.